Are you after a compact SUV that isn't too big on the outside, but is very big on the inside? This car could be the right car for you. In this review, you're going to find out why. G'day, I'm Matt, and this is the new generation Nissan Qashqai, a car that should be on your shortlist if you're looking for a compact SUV. And in this review, I'm going to tell you all the reasons why I think this is one of the best that you can get in today's market. Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing so far. If you are, please do like, subscribe, and share this channel with your friends so we can grow this community. I'm really loving the banter in the comments section. Hit me up. There are 4 different versions of the Nissan Qashqai to choose from at launch, and they are all more expensive than the last generation version. That's because this car has more technology and more equipment as standard across the range as well. So starting at the bottom, you've got the ST grade, which gets nice things like LED lights, a touchscreen media system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, cloth interior trim, and 17-inch alloy wheels. And I think it's pretty good value for money. Step up from there and you've got the ST Plus, which gains you some nice things like LED fog lights at the front. You've got 18-inch alloy wheels on that spec, a bigger touchscreen media system with wireless Apple CarPlay, but still wired Android Auto, and it looks and feels a little bit more special. Then there's this one. It's called the STL. It gets different wheels again. They're 19-inch wheels in this case, and there's a bunch of new equipment on the inside for it too. And then at the top of the range is the TI spec, which is basically like a luxury Qashqai. It's got a leather interior trim, a big panoramic glass roof, electric tailgate, and a bunch of other stuff besides. And it'd want to be that luxury spec because it costs more than 50 grand on the road. Yeah, that's pretty high up there for a Nissan Qashqai if you ask me. In the mainstream sort of price range, there's about 20 different small SUVs available in Australia. That is way too many. There's so much choice for buyers. In fact, it's easy to see why buyers would be confused by how many choices they have. But let me tell you this. This Nissan Qashqai is one of the best options out there right now. And in fact, it's hard to come up with a better alternative unless you need certain things. If you want an SUV that has all-wheel drive and a perky powertrain, the Kia Seltos could be a really good option for you. You can watch my review, hit that link up there. I really liked a lot of things about that car. There was a few things that I hated though. You're gonna wanna find out about those. Then there's the Toyota Corolla Cross, which is maybe a predictable alternative for this car. It does have hybrid power available right now if you can order one. Wait times are pretty extensive on that vehicle, but it is very impressive in a lot of ways. I'm gonna review that one soon, so stay tuned. Then there's new models coming soon as well, like the new generation Hyundai Kona, which looks amazing. So crazy looking. And then you've got the Subaru Crosstrek. That car used to be called the XV. It's gonna come back and be, well, just like the last one. So it'll be good in a lot of ways. Let's hope it's a little bit more powerful this time though. Tell me what you think in the comments. Qashqai or something else? Hit me up. The Nissan Qashqai fits into that Goldilocks zone of small SUVs in that it's not too big on the outside, but it is big on the inside. I'll show you the inside soon, but at just over 4.4 meters in length, this isn't going to be intimidating if you're maybe stepping up to this from a hatchback or something like that. I want to show you something that I find to be really special as a dad. The doors, right? They open to 90 degrees, which means that fitting your little kid into the seat in the back is just going to be so much easier than some of those other cars, like Toyota, for instance, which has doors that only open about that far. And that means that you have to be quite slim to squeeze in and put your kid in. But these ones open way wide, which is fantastic. Now, let me show you the boot. It's pretty good too. The Qashqai has a pretty big boot for a car in this class. In fact, one of the reasons it is so big, the numbers are on your screen now, is because it doesn't have all-wheel drive. So there's none of that hardware getting in the way under the boot floor. It means they can maximize the amount of space available to the user. So if you are maybe like me and you've got a young kid and you've got a pram and all the stuff that goes with a young child, then you can see on screen now how affected the boot will be by that sort of load of stuff. I was surprised just how big the boot is in here. If you've got 2 young kids, it might be a bit of a squeeze unless you're a Tetris master, but there's also a space saver spare wheel under the boot floor. And like I said, only the top spec model gets an electric boot. That might be a deal breaker for some, but that's not that hard. Inside the Nissan Qashqai, it feels like a new generation model. That's very important here. There's this massive screen in this spec. Now, like I said, the base model gets a smaller screen, but the top 3 get this big 12.3-inch screen, and it's very crisp, very clear, very quick. It's got a fantastic reversing camera, 360-degree camera view as well. I like the fact that there are buttons below it as well. You probably know by now that I like buttons and knobs. There's more buttons and knobs down here too. So the usual car controls that you need to be able to have a tactile grip on are taken care of in this car. That's good to know, right? There's a smaller digital screen and regular dials on this grade of the Qashqai. It certainly feels like a pretty nice cabin in here from a perception standpoint. Now, one thing I'm not so hot on is this blue tinged finish around the cabin of this grade. You might not be able to see it in this light, but with a car with this color on the outside, just seems very much at odds. If it was a white car or a black car on the outside, maybe it'd be fine, but as it is, I'm not so hot on it. I do like the fact that the materials are quite good. There's a nice soft padded section on top of the dash here. You've got nice soft armrests and stuff as well, so everything feels of a really high quality. In terms of storage, you've got not as much as you probably want. So there's a couple of cup holders here, a center console bin here, which has a couple of USB ports as well. There's a wireless charger here, but unlike some of the other SUVs on the market, there's nothing underneath this section. It's sort of all taken up with a blank spot, which isn't great. One thing I don't love is that this Qashqai has a really badly fitted glove box cover, which, yeah, you should be getting better than that when you're spending this kind of money. There's bottle holders in the doors, the seats are very comfy. All in all, a pretty nice cabin. I like the steering wheel too. It's a nice shape, very easy to deal with. So yeah, not bad. Let's check out the back seat. One of the reasons I'm so impressed with the Nissan Qashqai is how much space there is in the second row. This seat is set for me. I'm 182 centimeters tall. That's 6 foot in the old money. And look, I've got heaps of room in front of my knees and fair bit of foot room as well, good headroom and pretty good shoulder width as well. So this is a pretty practical little SUV. If you are after one of those cars that is definitely on the bigger side on the inside, but not so huge on the outside, yeah, this could be the right car for you. It's got some nice amenities back here as well. You've got map pockets on the back of both of the seats. You've got directional air vents, USB-A and USB-C ports, and there are cup holders in the fold-down armrest. Now, just take note, they're quite shallow, so your cup might actually fall out. Just be careful with that. There's obviously ISOFIX points in both of the outboard seats and 3 top tether points as well. And it's going to be pretty comfy back here for adults or kids. Yeah, not much wrong back here, to be honest. For the moment, every single version of the Qashqai comes with a 1.3 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine, which has a big power bump over the existing model, 4 kilowatts and 50 Newton meters more. And it is a zingy little engine. The outputs are on your screen now. The CVT in this, I'm going to tell you more about it in the driving section, but it is a pretty sweet transmission for this kind of car. And there will be an electrified version of the Qashqai coming later on. It's called the e-Power, and basically it still has a petrol engine, and you use the petrol engine to power the electric motor and fill up the batteries. So it's like a generator rather than a hybrid engine in that regard. It's pretty interesting technology, but maybe a little bit expensive and also maybe not as efficient as you might hope it would be, especially when you've got things like the Corolla Cross out there with its hybrid engine, which is ridiculously efficient. Anyway, this one's pretty good. I don't necessarily think I'd shop up for the high spec anyway. In case you haven't noticed, I drive a lot of new cars, and the Nissan Qashqai is the one that's probably surprised me most out of all the cars I've driven in maybe 12 months. This is a very accomplished, comfortable and likeable little SUV to drive. There's nothing really that stands out as being ultra bad about it. Maybe occasionally the transmission at low speeds and the turbo engine can catch each other out, but it's not really anything that you can't get used to. You sort of learn how to drive this CVT and turbo engine combination as you spend more time with the car. I still think that the engine and transmission are a very good pairing in a lot of situations. This is a smooth and perky little powertrain, if you ask me. I think it's going to be suitable for people who are running around town or spending a bit of time on the highway. Yeah, it's a very impressive powertrain. The other thing that's impressing me is the handling and the ride and the steering. It is a well-tuned, comfortable and easy to live with car that also has a little bit of dynamic prowess thrown in there just for good measure. If it's not too firm and it's not too squishy, and I think that that's a nice balance. Even on these 19-inch wheels over big sharp edges, you do notice those just a little bit, but on the highway as we're going now, it's fine. It's really quite comfortable. As you can probably see on my face right now, there's a very bright light shining, and that's not the light from the camera. That's the angle of the dashboard is catching the sun and just throwing it right at my eyes. I'm not one of those guys who likes to talk to camera with sunnies on, so I'm not going to put my sunnies on, but yeah, that's annoying. And that's not going to be all the time every day, but it's happening to me right now in the middle of the day. It's yuck. It's probably the only yuck thing about the drive experience of this car, because I think it's super. I think it's really, really good. A downsized turbocharged engine, CVT automatic, no all-wheel drive. This should be a pretty efficient little car, right? Well, on paper, at least, it is. 6.1 litres per 100 k's is the official combined cycle fuel consumption figure for all the Qashqais that run this powertrain. Obviously, that e-Power powertrain is also coming. It's going to be more fuel efficient, but also a lot more expensive. So, yeah, that's a compromise. You'll have to decide for yourself whether it's worth spending the extra. But if you're wondering what I've seen during my time with this car, across a few hundred kilometers, you'll see the number on your screen now. I was expecting a little better, but I wouldn't say that it's necessarily going to stop me from recommending this car. It's pretty efficient. We're filming this in 2023, but ANCAP gave this generation Qashqai a 5-star score way back in 2021. The car didn't even go on sale in Australia until late 2022, but it did score the maximum 5-star rating back in 21, and it also comes with some very impressive credentials when it comes to occupant protection. So front and rear seat occupant protection scored really, really well for this car. It's got dual front side, a front center airbag, and curtain protection for the back row seat. It's also got all the stuff on the outside that you would expect as well. So you've got autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. You've got lane keeping assist technologies, blind spot monitoring, and rear cross traffic alert across the entire range. Adaptive cruise control is standard as well. So yeah, it's a pretty safe little SUV. Nissan offers a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty for all of its models, including the Qashqai. That's the standard basically for mainstream brands in Australia these days, so it is pretty well covered in that regard. You've got a 6-year cap price servicing plan, but the service costs for that setup are very, very expensive. $670 on average over that 6-year plan. There's 5 years of roadside assist included for every Nissan as well, which is nice. I reckon the Nissan Qashqai is one of the best small SUVs on the market right now. It's funky, it might be more expensive than before, but it's also way better than before, and I actually think that it's going to be the right car for a whole bunch of different people out there. Tell me what you think in the comments section below, and if you are still enjoying what you're seeing, please do like and subscribe, hit the bell, and also share this channel with your friends, because I'm trying to grow this community and make it something fun and different. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.